Some murders leave behind a trail of evidence. Others just leave behind a deep, lingering sense of doubt. This is the story of one of those cases, a case where certainty never arrived. And every potential answer just created a new, more complicated question. The events we're about to explore unfolded in a quiet corner of the UK, a place where daily life felt predictable and routine. People moved through familiar streets, following their habits without a second thought. Safety wasn't something they questioned. It was just an assumption, a part of the background noise of their community. But that comfortable assumption was about to be shattered. Our story centers on a person who lived a quiet, structured life. They weren't isolated, but they weren't the center of attention either. Known to a small, close-knit group of people, they rarely stepped outside their established routine. There were no reports of conflict, no history of threats, and absolutely no reason for anyone to believe they were in danger. Their life was, by all accounts, ordinary. On the day of the murder, nothing seemed unusual. People who would later say they noticed nothing out of the ordinary, no fear, no distress, no sign of what was to come. Those mundane, everyday moments would soon become the focus of intense, frustrating scrutiny. The discovery of the body changed everything. The location itself immediately raised critical questions. It suggested a level of familiarity, not a random act of violence. This didn't look like an impulsive crime. Investigators quickly formed a theory. The victim likely knew their killer, or, at the very least, felt no immediate threat from the person who would ultimately end their life. Police secured the area, and the meticulous process of collecting evidence began, but the scene offered few clear answers. There were no obvious signs of a struggle. No clear weapon was ever recovered. And crucially, there were no direct witnesses to the crime itself. Forensic results provided fragments, not conclusions, pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit together. With the physical evidence leading nowhere, the investigation's focus shifted to the victim's personal life. Detectives began the long, difficult task of interviewing everyone they could find. Family members, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. They hoped to build a picture of the victim's final days and hours. But the picture that emerged was blurry and inconsistent. Some accounts aligned perfectly, but others differed in small, almost insignificant ways. Minor details changed from one interview to the next. Nothing was dramatically contradictory, but nothing was entirely consistent either. The solid foundation the police needed to build their case simply wasn't there. Each one came with their own set of unanswered questions. Some had unexplained access to the location where the body was found. Others had strange, unaccounted-for gaps in their movements on the day of the murder. And some were simply people who, for various reasons, just couldn't be ruled out. But for every person of interest, the key element was missing: a concrete link, a piece of hard evidence that could definitively connect them to the crime. There was suspicion, but no certainty. As the weeks turned into months, the investigation continued, but the pressure was mounting. Public interest, which had been intense at first, began to fade as the story grew cold. The news cycle moved on. New cases demanded the police department's attention, and resources were inevitably shifted elsewhere. Slowly but surely, this case began to lose momentum, slipping further and further down the list of active priorities. Within the community, however, the impact remained. The sense of assumed safety was gone. People became more cautious. Familiar routines now felt a little less secure. A quiet sense of trust had eroded, replaced by a subtle, unsettling uncertainty. The crime had left a lasting impression that reached far beyond the victim and their immediate family. It had left a scar on the community itself. Over time, progress came to a complete standstill. No new witnesses came forward with a crucial piece of information. No new evidence emerged from forensic re-examinations. The questions that had plagued investigators from the very first day remained stubbornly unanswered. Eventually, with all leads exhausted, the case was officially classified as cold. A file was placed in a cabinet, waiting for a breakthrough that might never come. For the victim's family, the passage of time offered no relief. Without answers, there could be no closure. They were left with their memories, with the endless, agonizing loop of unanswered questions, and with the heavy knowledge that justice had never arrived. Their grief was suspended, trapped in a state of permanent uncertainty. Today, years later, the case remains unsolved. It exists now as a collection of reports, interview transcripts, and old newspaper clippings. But somewhere out there, the truth still exists. It might be locked away in a memory someone refuses to share. This case serves as a stark reminder that the world of crime investigation is always like what we see in movies. Not all murders are solved. Not all truths are discovered. And for some families, for some communities, the answers they so desperately seek will remain forever out of reach. Until that silence is broken, this story will continue to be one of profound and unresolved loss. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into cases that continue to mystify us. Stay safe out there.